Good evening, everybody. This is Steven Crawford of your Chasing Legends podcast. Back for another podcast. It is early April right now, for an outdoorsman in Michigan, that means one thing and one thing only. Gobble, gobble. We're here. We're going to be talking about turkey hunting. We got into it probably in our teens, early teens. And when I say we, it's not just me on the podcast. If you listen to our first podcast, we talked about why we hunt, and I was sitting with my good buddy Tommy Enslen. Well, Turkey Tom is back with us today.
Glad to be here.
Yep. And we call him Turkey Tom because his statistics are off the charts when it comes to turkey hunting. The guy's shot 9 toms. He went on a little Jake spree in his early ages. He's got 4 Jakes. He's actually shot 2 bearded hens.
Yep.
He's had a lot of luck turkey hunting. We're both getting a little bit more advanced with turkey hunting on an annual basis. But Tommy is much more advanced than I am. He's played a lot more work. He has shot in a lot more turkeys than I have. I've shot quite a few toms. I've been lucky enough to shoot a couple record book toms along with Tommy. But no, today we're going to talk about a few things. First of all, the best thing about hunting is the stories. So we're going to tell you guys a few of our favorite turkey hunting stories. We're going to talk about Michigan and why it's such a great turkey state. It gets a lot of hard knocks for being a rough deer hunting state. It's a phenomenal turkey hunting state. I'll put it up against any state in the country, to be honest. We're going to talk about a couple different strategies we've used in the past, strategies that might make you successful this spring. But mostly, again, we're going to be talking about a lot of stories. We got a lot of funny stories of our past turkey hunting. We've had a lot of ups and downs. And we're also going to talk about what our goals are this spring and what our goals are for the future. Because there's a lot of other different kinds of turkeys we want to conquer outside of the state of Michigan. But without any further ado, Tommy.
What's up, guys? How you doing? I hope everybody's excited for this one. This is another passionate subject of mine. Some people call me Turkey Tom. I don't know. I think that's a little exaggerated because I got a long way to go to become a good turkey hunter, to be honest. But yeah, we've had a lot of fun over the years going after these creatures. They're a wild animal. I think they're an underrated animal, to be honest. I think more people should hunt them. And it's slowly growing, the sport itself is. And that's something I'm really excited about and have a lot of common ground with. But yeah, as Steven said, we've only really experienced the eastern turkey. I've been out of state and seen Osceolas, and it gets me excited. I just haven't had the opportunity yet. So, as Steven says, I've shot a lot of turkeys. It's only been easterns, and I know that in every region of America it does vary. But yeah.
For anybody who's not extremely familiar with turkey hunting, there's 4 main subspecies of the wild turkey in America. It's the eastern turkey, which we have here in Michigan. There's the Osceola, that's pretty much in Florida only.
I think it does get a little north into Georgia and stuff. I'm not totally sure. I haven't studied that out.
You have the Rio Grande, which is down in the southwest, Arizona, New Mexico. And you also have the Merriam, which is more of like your Midwest, Nebraska your plain states. But first and
There's
foremost,
actually another one that I think is in America. It's called the Goulds.
Goulds, yes, and I don't. That's also Southwest.
I think it's Mexico or something.
I think it's just like a Rio Grande. It's like a different kind of Rio Grande. I'm not gonna get into too far with that. But anyway, there's a lot of other cool turkeys out there.
They call it the Grand Slam.
The Grand Slam. If you were to harvest all 5 of them, 5 different species. But really, it's so close. It's the closest thing that us Michigander hunters can get to elk hunting.
Yeah.
Because everybody out west elk hunts. Every big outdoorsman, and the reason why we say it's so similar is because it's the only big game animal you can hunt on the eastern side of North America that you can communicate with. Mm-hmm. I mean, I can't say only because there are elk in Michigan, but
you can communicate with a deer, but it's only when we can communicate and chase.
Communicate and chase, correct?
Right.
Correct. Yeah, you can communicate with. I mean, people communicate with ducks, waterfowl,
Right.
But communicate, chase, yes, on foot. It has a lot of similarities to elk hunting.
Yeah, and it is a big game species. A lot of people don't think it is because obviously there's a big size difference between an elk. A turkey is a big game species,
100%.
rightfully rightfully so, because they are such a challenge to hunt.
I mean, we talk about if they could smell, they'd be unhuntable.
Yeah. And go into their eyesight.
Yeah, their eyesight's off the charts.
Yep. And yesterday I forgot to tell you this. Yesterday I was at the gym talking to a guy who's a longbow hunter for turkeys. And I didn't know this. I haven't researched this, but he told me that they can get up to top speed in 3 strides.
Wow.
Yeah, in 3 strides they can get up to top speed.
And they fly. They're fast.
Right.
They're
very fast. I mean, that's no surprise, but the fact that they can fly too. Another thing a lot of people think is like, do they cross rivers and stuff? I've had turkeys on the other side of rivers before gobbling, and they fly across.
Yeah.
I'm guessing they could. I mean, I've had them go through swampy land. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I haven't studied that out how crazy they are, but the way I see them jump on trees and stuff, I wouldn't be surprised by anything these creatures can do. But yeah, continue on.
Yeah. No, and what's really cool is a turkey's senses are so high, and it's such a survivor because it is hunted by everything.
Right.
It is just a prey, easy prey, easy pickings for coyotes, black bears. I heard a statistic.
Easy as in the numbers are high.
Numbers are high, and it's not like they get off the ground and fly like any other bird.
Right.
They need a running start.
Right.
And but turkeys, I heard a statistic where 70% of, I think it's like 70% of turkeys the eggs don't even hatch. 70% of eggs don't hatch.
Right.
And of the eggs that hatch, 70% of those don't live to be a year old. So you gotta think any turkey that's over a year old, is lucky.
Right.
Well,
the big thing that kills them too that we're not even talking about, because they are they're eggs.
Yeah.
Initially, are the raccoons and the opossums of the world.
Yeah,
they get into a nest like nobody's business and just destroy it.
And their nests are on the ground.
Right. So, exactly. And when you say they fly, it takes a little running start. That's debatable too. I haven't researched that, but I have seen turkeys take off. It's just that we have such a high. Just take off. They see me and they just fly, and I don't know if they were running or not. But the thing that gets them so elusive is by far their eyesight.
Yeah.
What makes them live, as long as they do, they say that the average turkey can read a newspaper from a mile. I'm serious. That's the saying. Wow. And they're being literal. They say it's the same type of eyesight as a hawk.
Yeah.
And that's why they are so unhuntable. And they also see about 320 degrees. It's almost 360. That's all I know. And the biggest thing is when you are hunting these things, the only way to really get away with a movement is if that thing's in full strut and his back tail feathers are blocking his view.
Yeah.
Because he can pretty much see 360.
Yeah.
And that's a fact. I know he's in the 300s.
So, extremely challenging animal to hunt.
Yeah.
Which makes it that much more exciting.
Right.
I do want to get into how we got started.
Sure.
So, you got started before I did.
Yeah.
So, if you want to get into that.
Yeah, no. My first time, like anybody's first time, it's one of the things that you just don't forget, when it comes to turkey hunting. It actually was my sophomore year of high school. It was during baseball season, and it was my center on my high school football team. I used to touch his brown spot, if you will. I played quarterback. And
Tommy as a brown spot means he used to touch his bum.
Yeah, so my hands were
quarterback to center relationship. Yeah.
So anyway, but he was a good buddy of mine. He was a hunter, and we had a pretty good, we had a pretty good bond going through the outdoors. And he kept talking to me about turkey hunting. And I was like, dude, I see those things all the time when I deer hunt. They're not that smart. They're so stupid. I see like 30 of them in flocks. How hard could it be to go kill these things? Well, I was wrong. I'll never forget, we went out a few times, didn't get anything, and he took me out again. And it was like the second time or so we were out behind his house in Middleville, Michigan.
And you're 15 years old?
Yeah, 15 years old.
Yeah.
And I got my dad's Charles Daly that he won at a Ducks Unlimited, whatever you want to call it, Ducks Unlimited convention or whatever. Yeah. And took it out, and I'll never forget, it was after practice, we were in a rush. I had the gun on me, but I didn't have any shells. he had shells in his basement, and I don't even think it was a turkey load. It was a bird shot. Like, it was like complete bird shot. And he took me out, and we were right behind his house, and he'd been telling me, I've been seeing him come out back here, and we're sitting behind hay bales. And there was a 2-track that came to my left. And he called for a while, and nothing happened. And he called again, and it was about 15 minutes later, which is common because this was an evening hunt. And I knew nothing about turkeys. I hadn't even really seen one turkey hunting, or spring turkey hunting. And next thing you know, I look to my left, there's a 2-track. And my buddy's, right by me. He's like, Tommy, two turkeys to the left. And I look, and I see 2 turkeys, but I'm so dumb, I don't know. I can't tell if it has a beard yet or not. Like, now I would know by just looking at the body size and the head and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I couldn't see if it was a beard. And apparently it was a Tom and a Jake, is what my buddy Donnie told me. But later. But at the time, I'm like, do I shoot? What do I do? And finally he goes, it's a Tom. Both of them are males. Shoot them. I have no idea which one I'm shooting at. I just know they're both males. And right when I go to raise my gun, which is so stupid, like things that you get away with deer hunting, you just don't get away with turkey hunting, especially not in a blind.
Any quick movement.
Right. Yeah. Next thing you know, I see these turkeys to the left. They're on the 2-track coming right into our decoy and our call. Coming right in. I don't know why we just didn't let them come. But I move. Of course, it takes them nothing. I mean, they can see everything. I didn't even move that much. It was a slow move, but they saw it. Start booking the other way, both of them. I just picked the first one that I could see, and I just, boom, drop this thing. And next thing you know, my buddy just gets up. I'm like, dude, I'm used to deer hunting. What are you doing? Like, this thing just gets up and starts booking it after. I'm like, Donnie, I don't want to shoot you, dude. I was going to keep shooting. He's running, hightailing. This is a big guy. Like, he's flying. It was hilarious. And gets to the turkey. We get to it, and I'm like just amazed, and this turkey's flopping, and it was pretty much dead by the time we got there. Steps on his head like you always do, and it was done and stopped flopping. And he's like, it's a Jake. And I didn't even know what a Jake was. I'm like, is that good? I'm like, is that good? Anybody that doesn't know turkey hunting, a Jake is, what would you say, that year's, it's a year-old turkey.
It's a year-and-a-half-old buck if you're a deer hunter.
Sure. And it's still a lot of hard work. It's not a baby by any means. It's already broken off from its mom and all that stuff. But it is not yet a mature tom, what we would call a mature turkey. And, I shot that thing, and I'll never forget coming home, and my dad had never seen a turkey. And he's an avid deer hunter, but he had never seen a turkey. And
a dead one.
A dead one,
yeah.
Right. And get home, and, I was really geeked about it. I really was. It really got my heart going. And I think what I liked so much about it that got me hooked from that start was the time of year.
Yeah.
The time of year, it was just, I was so weird being out in the woods to me at that point because I had grown up hunting deer hunt. Yeah, I'd never been out in the spring ever for anything.
I remember doing a little small game in February, go rabbit hunting and stuff. But once that was over,
we were baseball players.
Our
dads were coaches.
The snow melted, and we had to wait till fall to be out in the woods.
That's what I always thought.
Yes,
but I didn't realize that I could keep hunting and having this much fun during that time of year, and I was very excited about that. That was my initial response. Now it's grown.
Yeah.
But I just remember going out there, and and there was no mosquitoes yet. I'd had a ride. It was a sunny day, beautiful day, and I remember driving home in the back of his truck with that turkey in the back. He's such a nice guy. He took me all the way to my parents' house, and we lived like 15, 20 minutes away, and took me back, and I just remember that whole car ride. I can still remember the car ride home and thinking like, this is a riot. Like, I just got to shoot something, which I love chasing critters, that I'm gonna eat and that I'm really proud of, and it's such a nice day out. I was like, I'm used to some days with deer hunting coming back and you're freezing cold and you are working hard, and we had worked hard, but it was just so much more enjoyable as far as comfortability was.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I remember then, maybe it was the following year you shot a Jake?
So, that got me addicted, and I was like, I'm going to do this. I would talk to Donnie, ask him a lot of questions at school, and he's like, I had good hunting. I knew I had good deer hunting property, and I would see turkeys all the time, so I figured I had good turkey hunting property, and I did. Yeah. Really good turkey hunting property, yeah. And, I'd ask questions to Donnie, and he'd tell me, and, so the next year I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this on my own, and I put up a little, what do you call that, doghouse blind.
Yeah, did you even use a decoy back then? Did you have a decoy yet?
No decoy.
No? Okay.
I'll never forget the first time I go out. I got a break during base season. I'm still playing high school baseball. And I got a break. Somehow I got out early. It was during the week. I'll never forget it. And I just went to where I'd seen turkeys before and put out a little doghouse blind, which that's the other thing about turkeys. They are stupid when it comes to blinds. You can get away. They're not stupid, but you could put that blind in the middle of a field and that turkey does not care.
No.
Where a deer would be looking at you the whole time.
Exactly.
So I put out the doghouse blind that day, and I just remember I had been practicing with my slate call, and I'd gotten where I thought was good enough. Donnie would listen. He'd be like, yeah, that's decent. And I hit it very little. I just did some purrs and one scratch, one time. And
rock a call for us real quick.
I don't know if I can. I used to. I didn't tell you this part, but when I was 13, probably before I hit puberty, I used to hunt at Scott's house. I'd see flocks of turkeys all the time, and they were intriguing to me. And I had listened to Ted Nugent. He would talk about how he'd mouth call, and I would always practice at home and stuff. And I just whipped it out one time at Scott's house, and I had a flock of turkeys coming, and I was too scared to shoot them. I was 13 years old.
So anyway, sorry to get off track.
But back to So anyway, I made that call, going the second year out, and the first time ever by myself. And I'll never forget, it was like 10 minutes after I'd made my first call ever, I see, it's tall green grass. It's May. It's the second season.
Yeah.
And through the tall green grass, all you can see is their heads. And I see 4 of them in a line coming fast. And you know how like a chicken, they call them thunder chickens. That's another name for a turkey. Are coming right at me. And I couldn't believe it. And I called these jakes in, and I had shut up after I called, which is good because when I first started turkey hunting, I remember I was overcalling. I think it was with you or something, and I remember Paul told us, hey, you're overcalling because he was turkey hunting in another field.
I remember that.
Remember that?
Morning.
Yeah.
All we did was sit in the
We had no idea.
3 straight hours.
That was a morning hunt. So you know what? I don't know if it was the actual first time I went out, but it had to have been like that same day. I think we went out like that morning or something.
Yeah, I remember.
Before school or something happened, and then it was that night. I just remember it being like basically the first time I ever went out.
Yeah, we were sitting in the same patch of woods where we shot that 4-point.
Right. And there was a reason why I didn't. I remember there vividly being a reason why I didn't call much and shut up. I had shut up. So that's what I did. I hit that slate and was quiet, and these 4 jakes came right at me. And I just remember that time, I don't know if I've ever shot a turkey like that to this day. I shot it, and the thing didn't move. I mean, when I went up to it, it wasn't flopping. Even when I picked it up.
Just dead.
Dead. I'd never seen such no nerves. There was no nerves, nothing. It was phenomenal. I shot that thing, and boy, my dad and my brother were out that day. I'll never forget it. Who knew nothing about turkey hunting. I remember listening to them from the distance. My dad had a box call, and it was awful.
Screechy.
Oh, it was terrible. And he was overcalling. He was doing the same thing that we were doing that morning. So anyway, that was my second. That was my first time ever by myself. And then I was really hooked because that got my heart going. I'll never forget that. My heart was really pounding, and I was like, man, I'm really starting to like this stuff. I love going hunting during the springtime. It's an escape to get away from a really hard game in baseball, stress relief. And it was just kind of my thing. So all throughout high school, the next year I started just going by myself, going after them. And like you said, I started out just shooting a lot of jakes. I couldn't get myself out of Tom because I didn't know. I didn't know anything.
Exactly. And I feel like there was a couple of years where you're like, all right, I'm shooting a Tom this year.
Yeah, and I wouldn't.
And you'd call me 2 days into the season, like, yeah, I shot another jake.
Because that's what, it literally got my heart going so much. When you're young and you lack discipline, I would tell myself I'm not going to shoot a jake, and a jake would come in and be gobbling. And when you hear gobbles, anybody that's been turkey hunting would know what I'm talking about. But when it's right in front of you within 40 yards, it makes
it'll make your hair in your back stand up.
Oh, yeah.
It does.
So it's hard to say no to.
So for me, I think that maybe the first time I had ever gone turkey hunting was that morning with you. I remember you shot your first turkey and told me, and you were all excited. And for
do you remember that though? Paul was there, and he's like, "Yeah, you guys called way too much."
I do remember that, but I remember the year before when you shot your first turkey, and you called me and told me all about it, and I was just like, I wasn't that geeked about it.
No, not at all. Because our dads weren't.
Our dads weren't, and I was just like, whoop-de-doo, I see 20 of those every time I deer hunt,
Right.
Totally different game in the spring.
Way different.
But
especially when you're hunting.
So I finally went with you the following year, and Paul gave us advice. We probably 3 straight hours of calling.
We were horrible. Kudos to him for not losing patience. He saw that we were young. And he said it in a really nice way. I guarantee you, when he was sitting in his blind, he was
rolling his eyes.
he was pissed.
But anyway, so then I saw Tommy shot another Jake, and then I started getting into it. I saw the excitement because I think even that morning when we called, we maybe saw like a couple hens at a distance.
Oh, we did, but it was a wide open territory.
It was wide, yeah.
I think
but
it was like
still, just
700
seeing
yards.
the hens, it was like it got my heart going a little bit. I'm like, oh, this might be worth getting into a little bit. So I was telling my dad about it, and I finally convinced my dad. I was filming him. I was like, Dad, let's just go out. Let's do it this year. Let's buy our turkey tags, give it a try. And I remember we like kind of went back and forth and filming each other, and I was filming him one night, and it was an evening, and we did not know what we were doing. My dad, to this day, calls way too much. Like, I have footage of us in the blind last year, me ripping them.
That's a real easy habit to do.
It is. Well, anyway, I can't rip on him too much. He has shot some monster times.
Sure.
But, so, I remember we were out, same property.
Oh, yeah.
Rainy evening. We set up a decoy, because then once we started getting a turkey hunt, we would like watch it on like YouTube or like see it on TV, and we hadn't used decoys before. And I was like, oh, these guys got decoys. Let's just go buy a decoy. Right. So we bought one of those like $5 foam decoys.
Right.
Stuck it out in front of us in this field, leaned up against a tree. My dad starts calling like crazy, especially for an evening.
Oh my God.
Just calling like crazy, and all of a sudden nothing's happening, but here come what happens in the evening. They come in silent.
Right.
And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this monster Tom pops out and starts running at her decoy.
That's the best thing ever.
I was like so like startled. I didn't even hit record. I was supposed to be filming my dad. I didn't film.
Right.
He shoots it. Thing starts flopping everywhere. My dad's afraid to go step on it. Doesn't know what's gonna happen.
He still is.
And so the thing just flops there forever and dies.
Oh gosh.
So, but we were hooked. From there on, we were just hooked.
I'll never forget you came in my mom and dad's garage that day. And I don't think I've seen your dad act like that since I don't know what.
He was excited. He was really excited.
Oh, he was. He was really excited.
It was a big time.
It was a huge time.
At least 1 inch spurs.
That was a 10.5-inch beard plus bird.
It was a big bird. I remember that. And yeah,
that's crazy.
So anyway, we killed that bird, and we were hooked. I didn't shoot a turkey that year, but that's when you and I kind of decided, all right, let's take this a little more seriously.
Right.
So,
and then
that gets into the next phase of our turkey hunting.
Right.
Which, to be honest, is not completely real turkey hunting.
Right. We were pretty spoiled.
We lost perspective of how challenging turkey hunting was. And we're going to get into that. But, so we decided, I was getting into college. Tommy was
at that time.
At
Grand Rapids Community College.
Correct. I was at Aquinas. I was playing baseball. You weren't at that time.
No, I had just taken, and that I need to get into that. A big reason why I haven't told you this. A huge reason why I'd gotten out of baseball was because my freshman year of college. That was all in high school.
Yep.
My freshman year of college baseball in Michigan ends earlier. Okay, if you don't go to the playoffs and all that stuff.
Early May.
Right. So Woodland property. Remember the Woodland property?
Yeah, that's where my dad.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I had never hunted before, but I had deer hunted it and was deer hunting it. And it was right. I was playing at Davenport University and I was a freshman. And it was right after the season ended. I was so excited to go turkey hunting. Oh, I'll tell you why. Because a week before, we were playing Siena Heights on the east side of the state. And our Davenport University team bus, expensive bus, we're driving to the east side. It's the morning and it's primetime turkey season. Turkey comes out in front of the bus.
You guys smoke it?
Smoke it, but we're all sleeping, okay? It was the scariest thing I probably ever have had in a vehicle. No joke. It sounded like a bomb went off. All of a sudden, think about going down a highway, 70 miles an hour.
Probably
You're in
8 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, we're in an expensive team bus that's holding a lot of people.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, we all wake up by a loud boom. There's no window, and all we got is air blowing in our face. I thought we're going to die. Like, I literally did. Like, it freaked us out. We all wake up, and what had happened is a turkey, and I had seen him. I knew instantly what was happening because I was one of those kids that I was excited to look out the window. You know,
Yeah.
I knew what time of year it was. I saw the tom and the hen right by the edge of the highway. And the tom is right on the rear end of the hen. It's rut, like deer season. And this hen got pushed by this tom right in front of our school bus. And when it flew, hit the windshield, and the type of bus it was a flat, front part of the bus. It's a unique type, an expensive type of bus. I don't know how else to explain it. And it was flat, so the whole thing exploded. And I'll never forget, we pulled to the side. Obviously, we had to get another bus. We had to, the game got moved 3 hours. It was a huge ordeal. Everybody's freaking out. And we got all these city slickers on this baseball team, right? I get out, and I am excited because I'm just getting into turkey hunting. I'm ecstatic. And I'm like, what was it? I asked him, was it a tom? And the guy doesn't know how to answer me. And I'm like one of those crazy kids that just got so excited. I started going down the highway while we're waiting for this bus because it's going to take forever.
Yeah.
And I just start taking off, and one other person does follow way behind me. But I get to it because I can see the bird on the side of the highway. And I'm thinking I'm going to go find a tom. I'm super excited. I've never held a tom ever in my life. And I get to it, and it's a hen. And I'm being super disappointed, but I pick this thing up and take it back to all these players on the side of the bus. And I got this boy from California saying, Tommy, are you really touching that? Dude, that's gross, all those comments. And from then on, I was, obviously that got me going. So season ended. I go out to Woodland property. You mentioned how you had that tom come running into you.
Yeah.
Okay, that happened times 10. I sat in that blind that day, called in the tom, came running in, and I thought, when it gets close, it's dude, I'm not going to miss this thing.
Yeah.
I remember thinking the turkeys were, not like a deer and not that hard to kill when they were close enough.
Yeah.
I stinking missed that tom, and I remember being so down. I missed the tom, and the next day I went back, ended up killing a jake at the same spot, obviously. Well, I called because I was probably going to transfer, remember all that?
Mm-hmm.
And Muskegon Community College wanted me to go to their school, and I talked to their coach. I'll never forget, I was deciding on what school to go. What am I going to do? I had so much fun turkey hunting and not that much fun playing baseball that year. I said, screw it, I'm done. I'm not playing, dude. That was I was literally sitting in the taxidermist parking lot. No joke. With my Jake in the taxidermist in Hastings, Michigan.
Yeah.
A place I only went to one time, and they did a really good job. I just literally had drove by it, and I was like, oh, there's a taxidermist place. And I had a Jake in the back seat. Said, hey, man, can you do anything with this? Walked in there. He said, yeah, man, I can do a fan. I can do a full body. And I just remember sitting in my truck afterwards, calling and saying, hey,
I'm done.
yeah, I'm missing all this stuff. I'm done. So that's where it goes back to the next year. I'm at Graham's Community College.
Yeah,
You're
I'm
in
playing
college.
baseball. We're
Yeah.
deciding, all right, let's take it seriously this year.
Right.
Let's go actively look for a good piece of property because we weren't back home anymore, so we didn't have access to the old properties that we had access to.
Right.
Let's go find some good turkey property. But it was pretty much you because I was in the middle of. I went and played college
You're a
baseball.
freshman. Yeah, you were a freshman.
And I didn't. Yeah. So and you.
I was free for the first
you
time
were
in my
free.
life.
Yeah. So you went out and
Got excited about it.
found ourselves.
I got a land atlas and plat book, and anybody that's from Grand Rapids, Michigan knows the DeVos family. And I knew they owned a huge piece of property that barely anybody hunted, and there was going to have a ton of wildlife on it. And I knew there was no access on there. You don't even try that. But I thought, hey, if I can get these private pieces that are butting up to it that are all along Pettus in Ada, Michigan.
Yep.
And it runs along the Grand River there. And I had been reading on turkeys, and I knew that they love waterfront.
Roost over water.
Right. So I knew, I was like, man, there's got to be turkeys. And then I kept digging. I was actually hunting deer. I'd gotten deer hunting permission, too, across the street.
Yeah, I remember that piece.
Yeah.
Yep.
And when I hunted there that fall, I talked to the landowner and said, hey, is there any turkeys? He's like, man, I see a few of them. But I'll tell you where I see a ton of them. And it was across the street on the other side of Pettus, where the Grand River was.
Yep.
There. And I knew it butted up to the Boston's. I was like, man, I got to find a private piece over there. So I went over and bought a land atlas and plat book and found some names along Pettis and found
The
out their
old-fashioned
names.
door knocking
The
way.
old-fashioned door knocking way. Went to their door, and eventually, I did get one. And they were a super nice family. They actually let us hunt there for a few years.
We probably hunted there 3 or 4 years.
At least.
And
No, it was,
we
3 or 4.
didn't know what we had until we started.
Oh, yeah, it was a gold mine.
So, to put it light, I don't remember ever hunting there and not seeing a tom.
No, it was ridiculous.
So, to paint a picture, I
did, but whenever you came, I swear.
We're about 150 yards behind these people's home.
Right, and there was 10 acres.
It was 10 acres. So it was a 10-acre piece. If you looked at it from an aerial view, you'd probably say that we were hunting in their yard.
Almost. I mean, because that's where
there was a small tree line that separated.
Well, the other thing, there was flooding. Do you remember the flooding that was going on with the Grand River?
So the timber was pretty much flooded.
Pretty much, but they were spotty.
They're spotty, but I remember turkeys when we were watching turkeys walk through that timber, they were hopping from patch to patch, and it was a very wet area, which was pushing the turkeys uphill.
Right, and that was early season. It was drying day by day.
Yeah, it was April.
Right,
it was late April, and
I'm pretty sure it was actually early May because we were hunting May then.
Were we? Okay.
I had never started hunting April until recently.
Gotcha. So it was the first week of May.
Yep.
And so we were pretty much hunting about 100 yards behind their house.
Right.
And what these turkeys were doing is, let's be honest, the owner had a bird feeder in his front yard.
Yeah.
The
biggest thing was the DeVosses owning a property that nobody was turkey
Nobody was touching. Nobody was turkey hunting the DeVos property. So it was just there were turkeys everywhere. And I remember the first morning we were there, you can probably count the number of toms we saw on 2 hands.
Yeah, no, we saw toms everywhere.
And so at this time,
we didn't get them though.
Tommy and I were pro staffing for a company.
Yeah,
we were filming each other
because that was my dream. I had quit college. Yep. I wasn't being a low life. I said, "Hey, my first year of college baseball wasn't what I expected." I always told myself, "Hey, I'd be a professional baseball player, professional hunter. I'm gonna go pursue the other thing." And I had met a guy that was kind of had connections in the industry, and I thought, oh wow, this is an awesome opportunity. This is where I'm at in life, and I started pursuing, trying to become a professional hunter.
I remember you called me on it,
right?
And it was just like a done deal. That's our dream,
right? And
so we started.
I'm only 19, 20 years old.
Yeah, I'm a freshman.
Right.
You're
a few months older than you.
Yeah, you're 19. I'm 18.
Right.
And so we were pro staff, so we were filming each other. This company had just gotten off the ground. First time Tommy and I had really been working with filming, but oh my goodness, did we get some footage?
Yeah,
we have footage of turkeys gobbling in our face at 4 yards.
Yeah, we had just bought a pop-up blind. Remember, we had to split it. We had no money.
We had no money.
We went and got a Primos. I don't know, it was right when the good pop-up blinds started coming out.
It wasn't a double
bowl, no.
But it was probably $125 blind.
Yeah,
which was asinine for us at that time.
Right. I think we went 3 ways because remember I had a girlfriend at the time. I think she went in on it. I'm serious. We had no money, man.
We really didn't.
No.
It was scraping pennies.
Oh yeah.
And we got this. It was a nice blind. We made good use out of it. But we were also, because we were pro staff for the first time, we were sponsored by companies for the first time. We were Aerodynamic Solutions. We were trying this guillotine broadheads. We were bow hunting these.
And YouTube was just getting big at the time, and we were watching videos of this, and we were geeked about it.
Yeah, we're geeked. I'm not going to go into it, but a guillotine is essentially there to chop a turkey's head off.
Yeah,
that's what it does.
But there's no suffering that way.
No, there's not.
You're either wounding. You're not wounding a turkey ever. You're either killing it or missing it. That's what's nice about it.
Or the arrow bounces off.
Right, you're not wounding it.
Yeah,
you can't shoot it in the body at all.
No, which I figured out firsthand.
Yeah, the hard way.
But anyway, so we were working these guillotines, and we were getting turkeys. We were trying to get them within 15 yards.
Right. And
it sounds hard. Most of the time, going out now, thinking...
And it was hard.
It was still a challenge, but thinking about...
From the turkey hunts we've had since, it's wow.
Getting a turkey to 15 yards is extremely challenging.
Right.
We were very fortunate. You can tell your quick story with the owner.
Yeah. Like I said, we got sponsored by this Aerodynamic Solutions company. Got the guillotine, and the owner of what would you say?
The company that we were pro staffing for.
Right. The owner, he had time one morning and said, I'd love to film you, Tommy. Sounds like you got a great spot. I said, come on out. And usually these turkeys roosted well into the woods. But for some reason, we had a tom, like, that night roost, like, on top of us, like, within, like, 50 yards. Anyway, the woods was waking up. I'm doing my little hoot owl thing. I'm playing with it. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just trying to locate turkeys, just get my heart going a little bit. And all of a sudden, I do my hoot owl, and, of course, shot gobble goes off. I shot gobble this turkey, and I know right where he is. He is right on us. And Kelvin and I are super pumped.
Can you, so people know, can you explain that?
Shot gobble?
Yeah.
Oh, I was
sorry.
confused. No. Oh, no.
Locating turkeys in general.
Yeah. No, so a shot gobble is when you try to locate a turkey, and there's a lot of ways you can do it, but basically the most common ways are either a crow call, usually during the evening hunt is when you do a crow call, and in the morning when you're getting up before the crack of dawn, you do a hoot owl. And I don't know if you know what a hoot owl is. It's who cooks for you all. That's what you say into it. It's a hoo, 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 hoo. And that's
way to rock it.
Yeah, I've done it with my mouth before, and you've probably heard that before as well if you ever go out into the woods. But that's how I locate turkeys in the morning. Anyway, I was just figuring that out then.
Before you keep going, why is a turkey, how are you locating them? Why is a turkey responding to that?
Because they want to be the most dominant turkey in the wood, or actually the dominant bird in the woods.
So whenever they hear something, so when they're up in their roost in the morning and they hear something loud,
sure.
If they hear anything, I've heard people say
slamming their car doors,
and they'll gobble like weird noises. People slamming on their brakes, hearing the screech,
right?
And a turkey gobbles because a turkey hears a sound that sounds loud or dominant.
Yeah,
he's got to one up that.
Right.
So he's gonna gobble in response.
Right.
And when he gobbles, that's when you locate him. Okay, we have a tom roosted over there. We have a tom roosted over there.
It's basically Pride or the Downfall of Man, but in turkey form. So if you want to put it that way, simply. But
okay, so keep going. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I shot gobbled this turkey. No, you're good. And he is right on us. He keeps going. Once the turkey usually gobbles, you're going to keep hearing him. That's another thing. Early in the morning when they're in the trees on the roost, we call it, which is mean that they're just waking up from bed. And he's right on us, and I got a nice decoy out right in front of the blind because when you're bow hunting for a turkey, you want to put that decoy really close because it just improves your odds of getting that thing close enough for bow range.
And which direction?
I always face it away from the blind, so when the turkey wants to look that hen right in the eyes or the other tom right in the eyes. Yeah. Okay, so I always put that turkey in. I haven't done a ton of research on it, but the way I've always seen it happen is have that turkey kind of facing out so that thing circles the right direction, and usually they're going to be strutting or fanned out. And when that happens, remember, they can't see 320 degrees like we talked about earlier. They're blocked from behind, and when that thing circles and is looking this hen in the eyes, that's when you can draw because he's blocked his own vision by strutting because he has a fan behind his head. Cool. He can't see behind him like he usually can. So anyway, this tom flies right to the decoy. We don't even see this thing walk in. I mean, he hits the ground 5 yards away from the decoy. Yeah. Hits it, and he's obviously instantly in full strut.
8 yards from your blind.
Oh, yeah. And he's instantly in full strut. And that's perfect. It's like the picture-perfect scenario for a bow hunter. So I got this big old guillotine on the end of my arrow. This thing's strutting around this hen, and I think I even got a tom out there, and he's threatening it. So he's about ready to beat the crap out of this decoy, which is very common. If you look up YouTube videos, a lot of turkeys just beat the heck out of other decoys. Yeah. He's about ready to, and I pull back, fine, because he's at full strut. I wait for the perfect time, and I can't remember what happened. Someone said something or a noise went off. Because you got to understand, these things are very good ears too, and this thing's very close. And it wasn't much. I know that. It was very little, but enough for that turkey to hear something. Anyway, he instantly hears something and comes out of strut and starts bobbing his head like they do when they're nervous, and starts going the other way. And that's like the worst case scenario when you're trying to shoot a turkey's head off and his head's moving everywhere. So he starts moving the other way, and remember, we're filming too, so you're trying to keep him in the frame, and if he gets outside the frame, it's not worth anything. So, I got to rush the shot, if you will. He starts moving his head, and I try to hit him, pace it out and try to hit him when it's moving, and I freaking hit the side of the blind.
You don't think about how big those broadheads are.
Right, they're massive. So if you're not careful, it's easy. I didn't hit it square, but it was enough to throw the arrow off enough to where you missed pretty good.
The blind that we emptied our savings on.
Right, I put a big slice. It wasn't a big slice. It's probably a 2-inch slice.
Yeah.
But one of the big old things that stick off that broadhead, one of the blades, hit. It's not like it was a wood blind. This is a pop-up blind, but it slid it and threw the arrow off, and that was my first time ever shooting at a tom with a bow, and unfortunately we were unsuccessful. But yeah.
And then, a couple weeks we were unsuccessful so many times with that guillotine.
Oh yeah.
We were just waiting for this perfect moment, and luckily we had the perfect property to do it. Where we'd go hunting, we'd hit the hoot owl once, and we'd hear 7 different gobbles.
Oh yeah.
And before you know it,
a lot of them were jakes, though.
A lot of them were jakes, but before you know it, usually there was a tom within the vicinity, within eye range, within the first half hour of daylight.
Right.
So I had my opportunity. We had a tom come full strut in 15 yards, and I hit it right in the side of the body. Which, if I would have you'd been using a normal broadhead, perfect shot. With this guillotine, the arrow literally ricocheted off it like it hit a trampoline.
And we had amazing footage.
Yeah,
Remember
we
that?
just had a great, that whole spring, we just had great footage.
Yeah.
We were being remember that? We had a really old tom at like 6 yards, and we decided to pass on it because the beard.
Yeah, this beard. What happens when a lot of mature turkeys get older is the beard starts to frizzle. It's just an older turkey. Nowadays, I would have freaked out if that thing came in because I know how hard it is to get in.
Yeah.
We had them get really dumb with us one time, and it was a 3-year-old plus turkey with big old hooks on it. I remember zooming in on the footage later, and the hooks were ridiculous. But we were so stupid, we judged it by its beard and let this tom go because there was some other tom back in the background or something stupid.
Yeah.
Anyway, looking back, we didn't know anything.
We finally did have some success with the guillotine.
Yeah.
Not you or I.
No, I ended up killing a jake.
You killed a jake.
Yeah, and that's a crazy story. But no, I took that owner that I talked about earlier out, and he was a really good shot with a bow. And it was like a packed full. I remember we had like 3 or 4 people in the blind. It was stupid. We had like
you had a bunch of guys filming.
Yeah. We had like 2 different shots of this thing. We were so excited about it. And this turkey that we had been seeing that would just always outsmart us. He was huge. He had a huge beard. And it was thick. It was massive beard, and we wanted him so bad. He was a huge turkey. He came in, and the owner made a perfect shot. Literally shot off his head. We got great footage, and we erupted. It was great. It's on my Facebook. It's phenomenal. I should find it somewhere. But that was our only success story of that place when it came to toms and guillotines. I did shoot a jake on film, and that was crazy because it was like instant death and almost like a hose of blood coming out of his head. But it was awesome. I mean,
I never
just
shot one.
The fact that I got one with a guillotine is something that I really do actually still cherish because I realize how hard it is.
Yeah.
I didn't get a tom that year there, but then I took you there at the end, and by then they were really educated because we had already killed mine and the other guys.
Yeah.
And we had killed 2 turkeys, and my girlfriend got one with a gun.
Yep.
And
just goes to show those are 3 turkeys.
3 turkeys on one spot, but when you do that, after we still could see turkeys, but it was very low. So that we took out the gun, obviously, by then because we were frustrated with these turkeys and guillotines, and we had killed 3 turkeys already there. And sure as heck, I'll never forget, you were sleeping. Because we weren't seeing anything at that time. We didn't know there was any toms around, whatever, but the amount of turkeys that we had been seeing there early in the year, we figured, hey, there's definitely a chance. Yeah. Sure as heck, late in the morning that day, I called in a strutter, and I had to wake Steven up, and he wakes up. Steven, wake up! There's a turkey out there. He comes out in the field, and You want to tell what you freaking Deion Sanders high
stepped it.
Oh yeah, it's great footage. He drops his turkey for his first time. He high steps out there like he's running back a touchdown like Deion Sanders after an interception. Getting a little cocky, a little way too cocky.
Way too cocky.
But it was funny. And looking back, it's even more funny.
That's my first time. Too.
Right.
It was exciting.
We had worked hard. Like, you had missed that one. We had all those encounters.
Yeah. And
it's crazy, too, how much time we had. Like, how did I go hunting that much the whole month of May? I went every day.
I never had class before 10:50, so right. I was good to go any morning.
Right.
Unless I was traveling for baseball, but I feel like
May it kind of ends.
We were young, though. Like, we would be out till like 2 or 3 a.m.
Oh, yeah. I remember coming there a couple times, and I had been out all night. Come strolling in.
We'll keep some of our stories PG, but
those landowners, perks to them because they were awesome and they let us hunt there. And then the only reason why we couldn't hunt there afterwards is simply because their kids got older and they wanted to hunt. So we were able to hunt.
How many turkeys did you end up? That was the only turkey I killed there because moving forward, you had gotten that property. You told me that hey, you have a hunting partner that comes out with me. So it was me and you for the first year or two.
Right.
But then after that, I got really busy because I kind of got focused in on school.
Right.
Baseball. I still turkey hunted.
I went back to baseball, but I still found time. And I did change up my setup a little bit. I went back in the woods a little bit more. Yeah. Because there was another... every year the flooding would vary.
Yeah.
And when the flooding wasn't as harsh, which it wasn't some of the years, I'd change up my tactics and get into the woods. But when the flooding was bad, was when we would be closer to the house.
Yeah.
And I think, too, it was partially, too, I think the landowner did say something about the guns. Hey, you can use guns all you want, but, hey, let's try to set up, in the woods a little bit if you're going to use a gun.
Yeah.
And I at that time, I was sick of bow. I started going with a gun.
I don't think we've gone back to bow.
No, I haven't. I've yet to kill a tom with a bow. I've never killed a tom with a bow.
Neither have I. So.
But in the fall, I've killed a jake.
Yeah.
But anyway.
How many turkeys did you end up killing there?
At least 4 to 5.
Yeah, I know. You shot your first time on film there.
Yep.
I filmed you kill...
The next year, I got the tom with a gun.
I filmed you kill a tom there.
Yeah.
When you were running rampant through the woods.
Yeah, that was great footage.
And, just short story. We went back there. I was filming Tommy. He had passed up Jake's that morning. And then... Tom came in. Tommy made a long shot. It was like 50 yards.
Ridiculous. That was the first time I ever learned how far 3.5-inch shell.
And I kind of learned my lesson. So he went running out, and this turkey was not.
No, it was dying.
What?
It was running into trees everywhere.
Yeah, but it was running. It didn't drop. So
right.
You went running after it.
Right, but it was
hurt. At first, I fouled you as a cameraman.
Yeah.
And then I lost track of you, and it could have been the scariest 30 seconds of my life because I have no idea where Tommy went. It's thick.
Right.
And I hear just gunshots going off. I just tuck myself behind a log and hope I don't get hit.
Yeah, I was petrified that the tom was going to get away, and I would get like 10 yards behind it every time, and it would like jump or just get kind of like evade me, and I kept shooting at it, and I couldn't hit it. The first time I had hit it really good. That's why I was running after it.
Yeah.
And it was running into trees. It was going to go down any second. But finally, on my last shell, I shot that.
Yeah.
I shot that one, and I got him, and he was a really good bird. That was a 3-year-old bird.
Yeah.
A really
big bird.
Yeah.
So over time, that property kind of died off, became educated. And eventually, like you said, we didn't have permission because the kids wanted to hunt.
Right.
So it was kind of a rude awakening.
Yeah.
Because then we were set back into normal turkey hunting.
Right, because that property was coming off of where turkeys were loaded.
But I mean, it's a blessing.
Right.
Because now we really know what it's like to communicate and chase.
Right.
And we've had some success.
I did have some misses there, too. That's the other thing. I could a couple misses that I had them right in my lap again. That's the thing. When you're turkey hunting and you see this thing come in and it's 40 yards, boy, you got to make a good shot. Like, if you are using turkey load and you hit body, most of the time those feathers are so tough. You can ask any fly fisherman who ties his own flies. Turkey feathers are tough feathers.
Yeah.
And BBs will bounce off their body. So you have to hit them in the head and the neck.
Yep.
Otherwise, you're not getting the turkey. So body shots just don't really work. Unless he's really close, you can get him to get another second shot. If that makes sense.
For the most part,
yeah, you got to hit him in the head.
Head or neck.
Yeah.
But we've So now that we've kind of morphed, and I think every year is a learning year, but we have definitely changed up our strategies. I want to talk a little bit about that. So what are some of your, now that we're into more of this call and chase, communicate, setting up on roosts?
I'm more of like, I like to stalk and go after them,
Yeah,
chase
exactly.
them like an elk.
Yes. So what are some of your favorite strategies? Let's start morning,
Yeah.
and then we'll go to evening, because evening is more challenging,
Right.
at least to get on birds.
It's actually a really good time to call.
Well, actually,
Locating
let's
is the issue.
let's not split it just to morning and the evening. Let's go before noon and afternoon, because sometimes a great time to turkey hunt is early evening,
Oh,
midday.
any time in the evening's good.
Well, that's why I love turkey hunting too, because it can be hot any time of the day. It's
Right.
like hunting the rut for whitetails in a
Exactly.
couple weeks in November, but it's like that all
Any
of
time of the
turkey
day.
season.
But a lot of times, when you're on that subject, hunting them in the morning is a riot because they're usually the most vocal. And the thing with that, though, and the way you asked what I like to do,
Yeah,
preferably, I like to be putting my work in before the actual hunt.
same.
And I like to know where that turkey is that I'm hunting. I target a turkey that I see in a field, and I watch that thing go up in the trees. And I say, hey.
That's where I'm going tomorrow.
Right, but the trick is usually that Tom is with hens, and he's in the trees with hens. He's already satisfied.
Yeah.
So your calls don't always work. You know, a lot of people are like, well, that's easy. Turkey hunting is easy. You just watch the turkey go up in a tree and go shoot him the next
It's
morning.
not that easy.
No,
That
he's
turkey-
with a whole bunch of hens. And the challenge in the morning, and this is the way I like hunting them because it is such a challenge and it's so amped. What I mean by amped is everything's on fire. Everything's vocal. But the problem is you got hens going off there screeching, and that's why I like it. But it's also the challenge of saying, hey, can I sound more attractive than that hen that he's already with?
Yeah.
And the key is in the morning on the roost is trying to kill that bird really early. If he gets on those hens or with those hens on the ground and you're calling and he's already with the hens, have fun. You got to wait till usually late morning. And late morning is prime because he's already gone and breeded that hen or hung out with them and she said no or yes. It's already happened. Everything's already went down.
Now he's looking for hen number 2.
And he's looking for hen number 2 or he got cut off or just
Going back to where,
Yeah.
going to feed maybe.
Exactly. So late morning is usually really good for toms. A lot of times too, you know, people think that you got to keep calling because they're vocal, so you just keep calling like you talk like we're doing right now. No, less is more. That tom knows where he last heard a hen. It's in the back of his head. He knows. If you call and he's gobbled to you, you can do it every hour or so. If he's gone off with the hens, that's fine. Just kind of remind him if you want. But you don't need trying to, overcall and try to get him off the hen. Have fun. You're not going to do it. You just got to wait till he's ready.
Yeah.
But he knows where you're at. The biggest thing when I hear turkey respond to my call, shut up.
Yeah.
If you keep calling to him, he's saying, hey, maybe I can get him to lure in this hen with these other hens. Shut up. He knows where you're at. You can maybe do it every half hour, but you want him to come searching. If that makes sense.
Correct.
Yeah. So
And,
late morning's really good.
You can strategize on hunting the roost.
Yes.
Last year, for instance, if you want to watch the video, just type in Chasing Legends on YouTube, subscribe, watch Tommy and I's hunt last year when he filmed me shoot a Michigan record book Tom
Yeah, we could have doubled up if I didn't shoot one.
the day before.
Right.
So last year, first day of the season, I put those turkeys to roost from my truck.
Right.
I watched them in the field, property I had access to, and I saw them roost. And when I got to thinking, knowing the property, so usually when you're hunting a normal piece of timber, that turkey, even when you put him to roost and you know exactly what tree he is, the hen doesn't give a crap about your call usually. He's gonna follow the hen down
Right.
more often than not. So he could fly down in any direction.
Right.
There's
So
a
the
very
trick
small
is to get the hen in.
correct,
Right.
or sound enticing enough that he's got to drop off the tree before the hen, which
Right.
happened to us last year.
Right. Thank God.
Yes, but also what you can strategize is what I was thinking. If you really get in depth, when I watched him roost, he was over water. My timber was flooded.
Right.
and it was flooded to the point.
This is April too. And
this is April.
You can see these turkeys in the trees.
Yes, correct. There's no foliage.
Right.
And I said, you know what? There's a big, pretty much a big pond in the middle of my timber right now. He's not going to fly down onto that pond.
Right.
He's got to fly that way or that way. So I figured the hen's the same way.
Right.
So I have a 50-50 chance, which is
pretty good.
Unreal in turkey hunting. And last year, I told Tommy the scenario. All right, I'll meet you there. That's our turkey hunting. You're getting up really early. We got there.
It gets you up ready for work. That's what I love. Like you can be done by 8:30, 9 o'clock.
We were done by before 7 last year.
Right, but you can have a good hunt and say you worked fairly hard for some gobblers. By 8:30. Now it sucks because you are leaving pretty early. I mean, it's still.
Yeah, you could if you have to work
all day.
Saying.
Yeah, I'm just saying you can get hunts in before work during the week.
Yeah,
and you're getting to work on time and plenty alive.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you've heard that your ears are ringing by gobbles. Hopefully, if not, hopefully you've enjoyed yourself.
So we went out there. We set up on the roost. We were probably 70 yards away. We started tree talking them a little bit. We probably had 3 different gobblers in the area.
They're going off.
Yeah, and put a couple hens out really early. It was pitch black.
Right, you got to do it.
Yep, and got in the blind, snuck in the blind really quietly, and Tommy hit that slate. Tommy's gotten really good at the slate over the years. We're not big mouth callers.
No,
we probably
we just haven't gotten into bow hunting, so there hasn't been a need.
Correct.
So, besides the 1 year, but we were hunting together.
Yeah, but we're very confident with the slate.
I'm very confident with it.
We came and hit the slate a few times, and 2 toms came in on a string.
Oh, man, did they ever.
And within the first 10 minutes of shooting light.
Yeah. Legal
shooting hours. And we put the hammer down. But, yeah, so hunting the roost is a good tactic in the morning. If you can watch, if you might even know where
you
they
had
roost.
Located those turkeys the day before.
Correct. That's big.
Right.
Knowing at least a good general area where they're roosting.
Right.
If you're just walking in the timber blind saying, oh, they're somewhere in here.
Which is still a fun way to hunt. It's a
still
great
fun.
way to
You just got to be careful.
Right.
So, but yeah, it can be very, like Tommy said, more often than not, you're not going to call them in off the roost. They're going to follow their hen down. They're going to get a yes or no. They're going to breed or not breed.
Right.
And then you'll hit between 10 and noon is great turkey hunting.
Oh, great. That's when you get the running. That's when you, like the evening, both times, like we talked about, each had only one time of a tom come running in.
Yeah.
It's quite the scene because you see the paintbrush, on the front just swaying back and forth. It's pretty cool. But both of those were evening hunts.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So if you want the running tom to come in, if it ever happens, and that's really rare, it's usually going to be later on in the day.
Yeah. So
because he's not on a hen, the hens have gone.
You're talking about evening hunts. So
I've killed.
Do you always use a decoy? Do you always use a decoy?
No, not always. Especially later on in the year.
When do you like to?
Early season.
Mornings. Both.
Both early season.
The later the season gets,
less.
Because what's your decoy setup? April 25th compared to May 30th.
And I'm not saying it depends greatly on the property and the area. Later in the year, the risk you run is that turkey's been called to a lot, and he's probably had some encounters, or decent chance he had some encounters with other hunters. Because you got to realize these things can see a mile easily.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they hear a screeching hen from a long way. They go pop their heads over hills and see a decoy. It happens where these, especially a mature tom, he's been called to in his life.
Yeah.
Good chance. And he's not that dumb. He's probably seen a decoy set up, and he's lucky to be alive still. Maybe they missed him or something happened. And, so later on in the year, I'm not as popular, but I will do it, depending on the property. But early in the year, my decoy setup, first off, I like to get a good hen. But what I do, my setup is I go buy, I don't know what you call them, but they're real feathers that you put over top of your hen decoy. So my decoy right now on my hen is really good looking. Like they're actual real feathers over top of a good hen decoy that's got a good head and neck showing.
Yeah.
And I put that out, and a lot of times, to be honest with you, that's it.
That's it?
Yeah. A Jake decoy, I get it. Like people talk about it all the time, and I think it's very good. But I rarely put another tom out there. A Jake decoy is great because I've had them before. That's the other thing. I took my buddy Joe out, and he missed one after I had a Jake and a hen out, and the Jake decoy got smacked by another tom, and we just happened to miss it.
Yeah.
Which is common. Missing turkeys is very common. But yeah, most of the time nowadays, I used to do the hen Jake a lot. I like it. I do like it, especially when you get the challenge tom thing going, and I've had it happen. But I'm mostly a just hen and a really good looking hen out there. Because a solo hen, and that's what I have out there. I'm not making any gobbles. And usually if you got a Jake early in the morning on your setup early season, around a hen, he's gobbling too. And I don't want any mature tom coming and being like, why is that Jake not gobbling? It's prime time. I don't know. That's just me being probably silly, but I just have had a lot of success myself with just a hen.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, you're in a hurry out there.
Yeah.
When you're going out in an open field, right at the break of dawn, you don't want any of these roosting toms to see you. Fiddling with decoys is not the most fun thing. Otherwise, you better get there really early. And what I mean is like dark, and it's a couple of hours so these turkeys are on the ground.
Yeah.
I don't want to sit in the dark that long. I get there before dark, right up before prime time and just after dark. Sorry, basically right in there. I just don't want to sit too long. So I just take just a hen. It's just way easier. I know that's all I need. And minimal noise is everything when you're hunting the roost.
Yeah.
These turkeys can hear, man, and usually in the morning like that, especially in the spring,
Quiet.
It is quiet.
Until that first gobble.
That's why it's so awesome. You're sitting there for a half hour probably, maybe plus, and it's so quiet.
You're hearing nothing. From miles.
And usually what happens, you start to hear the chickadees wake up, and it's awesome. I love that noise.
Yeah.
But then, quick, a gobble's coming. And that whole time when those chickadees start waking up,
you're just waiting.
First, it's really cool, but the excitement, the anticipation starts really going. You just start listening. Your ears are locked in, and that's when you start to hear your gobbles.
Yeah.
And I locate, but I honestly, the way I hunt now, I don't locate barely as much as I used to. I'm more of a hunter out there. Yeah. I don't want him to know I'm there.
Yeah.
Most of the time I already know where he's at. Good. And I don't need to locate. That's what I prefer. Yeah. I don't want to do anything out of the ordinary. I just want the woods to wake up. My preferred way is to go out there, let the woods wake up, and hit the hen one time and get a response and shut up. And I know they work the fields that I'm in, so I just be quiet.
You've had success where
nothing.
You're driving down a road, you have a piece of property you have access to.
One time
you see a turkey.
Happened. Yeah.
You go after it.
Yeah, that was actually a bearded hen in the springtime. I killed one bearded hen in the fall, one in the spring, and you can do that legally in Michigan. And I had permission on this piece. Actually, it was after my junior year of college at Cornerstone. We had just ended our season. We had just school and baseball, and I was on my way home with all my pack stuff, and I happened to have my gun in the back seat. Saw a flock of turkeys out, and there was a strutter. There was actually a couple, so I was confident it was worth my time. Stopped, turned around, went and parked where I always parked because I had hunted there before. In fact, I took a guy out, Randy, to that property and called in a Jake that morning. He missed it, and we went to set up at the other partial on that property. There's two sets of woods there.
Yeah.
And called in a stinking coyote. And that happened 2 times that year, week after week, when I was taking people hunting. That's the other thing. When you're turkey hunting in the spring, be ready for a coyote to come.
Or if you're in bear country.
Yeah, I've never killed a coyote in my life except during turkey season, and it happened in the same year, week after week. This was the second one that Randy got at the same property that I'm talking about. Anyway, this property, I saw these turkeys out there the next year and turned around and snuck in the back way through the woods because the foliage wasn't great that time. I don't know. It was a tough winter. And snuck in through the back of the woods. I knew the property like the back of my hand. And I had a Tom and Jake come. And that was the craziest thing. I thought I was going to go through the woods, set up, and call them in.
Yeah.
It was just like divine. I set up, finally got my eyes on them, and they were already working my way. It was ridiculous. And that anybody that turkey hunts knows that rarely happened. They were working my way. I saw a Tom, but these hens were coming through first. I had a hen really close, and I was behind a tree. She kind of saw me, and then there's another hen behind it. She popped up on top of a log. You know how they like jump up on top of down logs?
Yeah.
I was sitting on top, moving his head around, and I see this beard swaying. I mean, swaying. I'm like, usually a bearded hen, they're only like a few inches long. This thing looked like a long beard. But I'm like, dude, that thing's tiny body, and it has it's a hen. So I was like, I'm gonna shoot this thing. I freaking dropped this bearded hen. I got a great mount of it. The beard on the thing is huge compared to the other one I shot. I mean, the other one was a decent sized hen, and it was like a 5-inch beard. This thing had like a 9-inch beard. It was retarded.
I know, that's a turkey of a lifetime.
It really is. Yeah.
So morning hunts, you're locating them. Evening hunts, which I feel like we evening hunt more than we morning hunt, just due to convenience.
Right. And that is, I'm usually using a crow call, but you can use anything. I mean, a hoot owl is not going to scare them.
Yeah.
You're just trying to make a noise. But usually, man, I love turkey hunting so much. I try to just know my properties.
That's what I was getting to. Is the biggest thing about you can turkey hunt all you want, but like this time of year right now, early April,
you should be putting in the time.
Watching these fields from afar.
We just did it. We just on the way here before this podcast today saw 2 toms in the field. The same field.
You're talking about the bearded hen.
The bearded hen, yeah. And it was in that field, and we stopped, turned around, and watched these 2 toms, and we watched where they went, and we have a good idea. We're pretty excited about this spring.
Yeah. So do your work now. If you want to be successful, put in your work. It's just like deer hunt.
Right.
Like maybe not scouting to the level that most deer hunters scout, but know your property, know where the turkeys know where the feed is.
Try to scout from the truck if you can, because turkeys do like fields.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
they also like rain. That's the other thing. They don't mind rain. So that's the cool thing about turkeys is
rain or shine.
Mating season's mating season, man. Yeah.
So do yourself a favor. Take a couple hours one of these evenings. See if you can watch some birds. Watch them roost. Put them to roost. And even though it's early April right now, in a couple weeks, there's a really good chance that they're roosting in the same general area. And if it's not them, it's another group of turkeys roosting in the same general area, because you'll find from year to year there's certain areas that turkeys like to roost and don't.
Right.
Depending on the timber.
And it does vary sometimes.
But not by hundreds of yards.
No, usually not.
So I say general area.
Yeah, but coyote dens will change that thing up.
Oh, yeah. But anyway, so be putting in your work right now so you can have a better chance of being successful, whether it's the morning or the evening. Everybody's got different decoy setups that work for them. I normally use a Jake and a hen, but I've also had a lot of luck just using a hen.
Yeah.
You can be successful either way. It also depends on the time of year. Like Tommy said, you might be hunting a piece of property in mid-May that hasn't been touched by a turkey hunter in 5 years.
Right. That's
They're going to be a lot more aggressive. But if you're in a pressured area, or if the properties around you are pressured at all, just be...
Sometimes no decoy is honestly the way to go.
Correct. Just be wary. You can scare a tom off using a decoy if he's been educated.
Right.
So, I don't know if there's anything else we wanted to touch on. I mean, I know that I want to tell a quick story, judging off of what you were talking about, how, these turkeys, you can call, but until they get a yes or no from that hen, they're not going to leave.
Right. So you're better off just being quiet.
Yeah, 2 years ago, my dad and I, we doubled on 2 record birth turkeys. It's a hunt I'll never forget. We watched, again, put these turkeys to roost, but they followed their hens down, and they sat, and these hens fed 80 yards in front of us for 3 hours.
Right, and they stuck with them the whole time.
They stuck with them the whole time. We did not touch the call. We saw where they came from. We knew that eventually they'd probably make their way back that way.
Right.
Let them do their thing. These hens shot them down. We saw these things at 6:30 a.m. We ended up shooting these things at 10:45.
Which shows exactly what we were talking about earlier. That's a good time to be hunting.
Correct. And they came off their hens. We both made long shots, but we both shot record book turkeys. We doubled up on video. Again, you can watch it on YouTube.
One was a double beard.
One of them, yeah, my dad's was a double beard. It was the second biggest double beard shot in Kent County in 2017.
Right. And was it the same year I got my double beard? No, it was the year before.
No, year before you got yours.
Double beards are really hard to get. They really are, but they are possible. It's not like an albino deer where it's like a 0.1% chance. they're like the ultimate trophy, and they're really hard to get. But if you hunt long enough, if you got to hunt a really long time, but you have a decent shot at getting a double
If
beard.
you get on a lot of toms, you're gonna get a shot at one.
Most likely.
Usually, you can't even tell until you get up to it.
Right, it just looks like a thick beard.
Yeah. But yeah, I know this year my goal. I've been going back and forth, and I think I am gonna hunt with a bow for a few days. That's something that I really want to cross off my bucket list. Because, like I said, since we've had that property in Ada, since we lost that property, I've gone back to gun hunting because turkey hunting is extremely challenging.
Right.
We'll see how that works out. Usually, sometimes I'll go sit with a bow for a day and be like, all right, I'm taking the gun out. But go outside of that. We talked earlier about it. I know Tommy and I, we haven't really got... The state of Michigan is one of the best turkey hunting states. You can compare the size of the birds we kill in our state compared to the record book birds in other state, and it's very comparable. If not, ours are bigger. They're very healthy birds.
A lot of times it depends on the winter that you had,
Yeah.
because a lot of beards do get shorter with rougher winters.
If you live in Michigan and listen to this podcast, we did just come off a really rough winter.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell just driving by the highway that turkey numbers are down a little bit.
Yeah.
Still
question.
looking forward to it. Still looking forward to getting on birds. I'm still seeing plenty of them.
Yeah.
Just not as many. But I know for both of us, we really want to travel and hunt them eventually.
Yeah. Right.
We want to get out and shoot that.
I really want to get a tom with a bow.
Yeah, Tom with a bow is a short-term goal. Long-term goal is getting out of here, going out to Nebraska, maybe shooting a Merriam, getting down to Florida.
My ultimate
shooting
goal in life is
also
to get the Grand Slam. Yeah.
But that's not going to happen anytime soon. But again, whether you're new to turkey hunting or you are an experienced turkey hunter, I hope you enjoyed listening to some of our stories. Really, we're not experts yet. We gave you a little bit of advice about how to handle mornings, evenings, but all in all, we just wanted to do this to get you geeked for turkey season. We talking stories. Nothing gets you more geeked about hunting than hearing somebody else's hunting story or telling your own. So now that April's here, turkey hunting is in sight. If you want to leave the state and go down south, you can turkey hunt right now.
Right.
But we're just really getting excited. Hopefully these stories kind of got you geeked up to get out there. Rise and shine at 3:30 a.m. Get your cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Beat them to the ground. And
You're coming out of the death of winter, which is why spring is one of my favorite times of years. You're getting out there and seeing everything come back to life.
Right.
There's a spiritual sense to it. That's a huge reason why I love this time of year and being outside, hearing the birds chirp, and just seeing how creation works is kind of the big thing with turkey season, because everything's so vocal
Correct.
and beautiful at the same time. You have great sunrises, great temperatures, all the above.
It is. And two things I want to mention with turkey hunting. If you are a very passionate whitetail hunter and are looking for access to properties, I just wrote an article. If you go to ChasingLegends247.com, I talk about how this year, my article is all based around how we're not allowed to bait during deer season this year. So you might have to change up some tactics. And one of those tactics might be getting yourself a better piece of private property to hunt.
Right.
One tactic to use is gaining access via turkey hunting. You will be surprised if you knock on a few doors. A lot of people are a lot more willing to let you turkey hunt compared to deer hunt.
Right.
It's a foot in the door. Start that relationship with the landowner, and you might be able to get your foot in the door for deer season.
Right. It's developing a relationship.
Correct. That's one. Number two, if you are in a relationship or have a friend and you are trying to get somebody into hunting or experience the outdoors, turkey hunting is an excellent way to do it. Deer hunting is a lot of fun, but it can be tough because the weather can be cold and brutal. Turkey season, evening hunts, pleasant. You're usually hunting in the 60s and 70s, a little bit more of an enjoyable experience. Listen to these birds communicate.
Usually late April, early May is the primus.
Yes.
For enjoyability. Keep going.
Correct. So what I was just getting at is if there's somebody you're trying to introduce the outdoors to, turkey hunting is a great way to do it. It's fun. You can socialize with them in the blind, calling, communicating with these birds. I'm guaranteed they'll find it somewhat cool that you can communicate with them, call them in. Whether you kill one or not, you got to enjoy that experience in the outdoors. and some fair weather conditions, it's a great way to get people into the outdoors,
Great
away from the
conversations.
TV. Great
Yeah.
conversation. How many times Tommy and I can go on and on about our conversations we have in the turkey blind, and I've taken a lot of people turkey hunting. Tommy's taken way more people than me.
Yeah.
Just
I
introduce-
love to turkey guide.
Yes.
That's one of my top things. That's the cool thing about turkey hunting is, you know, that we do live in such a great state, and it's easier to get access. If you're just looking to have a good time, or a lot of times, you know, like with whitetails, what I do love is like if I kill one in Michigan, I can go do it again.
Yeah.
A buck. You know, with turkeys it is a one. You know, you can only
You're
kill
one and
one in the
done.
spring. So, you know, a lot of times it's kind of like a roller coaster ride. You know, you get on that roller coaster and you want to do it again. Same thing with turkey hunting. You kill a turkey, it gets your heart going so much. I'll never forget when I took my sister and she got her first turkey. It was like I'd never seen Anna act like that. But yeah, it's one of those things where you're just gonna want to do it again.
Yeah.
At least that's the way it moved me. But yeah, you know, it's one of those things too that you're always learning and growing. It really is one of those things. Like we said, we haven't even learned to mouth call yet. I can do it. Like I make it deep. I've done it before. I just am saying I don't live and die by the mouth call.
Yeah.
And it's a tough thing to learn.
We'll probably lean on
To
it
be
more
good.
if we begin to archery hunt more often.
Right.
We just haven't had to lean on it before.
Right.
And the sleigh call works for us.
Right.
But no, it's honestly, it's not an extremely expensive. If you already have a gun,
Right.
go get yourself a couple foam decoys. You don't even have to use a decoy. Use any kind of doghouse blind.
Right.
Just get out there or lean
Blinds
up against
are
a tree.
great.
Blinds are great.
Pop-up blinds.
Pop-up blinds are great. It hides your, like we said, turkeys have great vision. So being inside a blind
Right.
is really beneficial compared to just leaning up against a tree. But you can do it that way. Just make sure you're camoed really good. But either way, good luck turkey hunting this spring. We hope. We want to send any pictures, any success pictures our way. Send it to our Instagram, Chasing Legends. Give us a follow. Or email us at chasinglegends247@gmail.com. You can find Tommy on Instagram as well, Tommy Enslen. Follow our turkey hunting adventures this spring. Should be a lot of fun. We're really looking forward to hearing a lot of success stories. And happy hunting. Go get yourself a thunder chicken.
Thanks, guys.